go
No, I
like you
love
are
I
today.
love
Eh?
the way you put things. They're called um, Francisisms. They're very sweet. That's why we all love you.
I'm telling you, you're good to go, Catherine. How are you?
Oh, I'm very well. It's starting to rain here. I've been out in the veggie garden this morning, so I was just coming on and I noticed my fingernails were really full of dirt, so I had to
Okay.
rush off and clean them.
That you gonna give them a good, good once
I,
over.
yeah, I forget that there is, I have to pay attention to below the neck as well.
Mm. Where's your
So
cup of tea? Where's your cup of
I,
tea?
I've got it here and I'm drinking green tea.
Mm. Green tea is the way to go. I'm also having some PJ tips today.
Ah,
It's doing
lovely.
wonders, yes. The weather is starting to get cold here in the UK, as you can imagine. The clocks went back forward or
Okay.
back. The clocks went back by an hour, yes, this last weekend. So marking official beginning of winter here in the United Kingdom. So there we go.
Are
I
you
wish
fully
I was where you are
recovered?
now. Yeah?
You are fully recovered from the flu.
Oh yes, yes, I'm fully recovered now, all singing and dancing.
Very nice.
How are you?
I'm good. I tell you, oh, free space.
Free
Hi, how are
speech is the
you?
first one here.
Yeah, yeah.
Free speech,
Oh,
how are you? Hello, good
yeah.
to see you.
I love that. First
Yes.
comment.
So we are here, free speech. We hope you're doing very well. By the way, free speech, where are you based? Here in the UK or Australia? Free speech is in Australia, where you
Yeah,
are.
I think she is. Yes, yes, I
Yeah.
think so. Yeah.
Please let us know in the comments, free speech, where are you based? We have a good fan base all over the world nowadays.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, good to see you, every single one of you. Welcome to this Royal News Live. Okay, wow, LC, thank you so much. You made it as well on time today. Good, we are good to go. Yeah, good to go. So, I'm trying to log in here. So, today's Royal News Live. Catherine, welcome to this show as always. Catherine is based in Australia. She's doing great wonders across the pond, flying the flag of the British royal family very, very high. Very well done. Catherine, you did an incredible job
Thank you.
during the King's tour, the King and Queen's tour of Australia. We are still very, very grateful for every effort you really put in. Very, very wonderful of you.
Well, it's really, it's just thanks to your kind self, to be frank, that, you really encourage me. I'm a very small channel, I'm okay with that. I know that you need numbers in order to accomplish certain objectives, but your channel really got behind me. And every one of these lives, Francis, I just so appreciate them because it helps me to clarify my thoughts. But
Hmm,
if it
hmm.
hadn't have been for you and your A team, um, Free Speech, Chantal, Elsie, Ava, I wouldn't even be bothered, to be
Hmm,
honest. But
hmm.
I'm so glad now because I've got the wind underneath my sails, and I'm going to approach, moving forward with my channel, I'm going to approach it in terms of the type of content. I'm going to approach it a bit differently because I'm a monarchist. I'm not interested in setting one household against the other, which is what I think royalists, they don't mean to, because they're royalists. They're royalists for a reason, but we tend to set one house against the other, and I'm not. That's not what I'm about,
Hmm.
So it's all great. It's all to your good graces, Francis. You really are a champion for the royal family and the late Queen. Just wonderful. It's just wonderful to be part of your A team.
Thank you so much, Catherine, and so are you for obviously following up on these stories every day and throwing yourself in here with your thoughts, and obviously adding on to this knowledge that we all share with our good friends in the comments every day. I can't be any more grateful than I am to you, Catherine, and every single one of our friends who is always tuning in to watch us. We've got Evra here, welcome. Elsie, welcome. Everyone who is here, who is not commenting in the comment section, we welcome you aboard. Chantel, Martin, Giselle, thank you for catching this live. I think she said she was about to switch her laptop off when the live popped up. So thank you so much, Giselle. They are really, really grateful that you caught this live bang on today. Now there is someone here. Is that Chantel? Chantel is asking whether I've got a Gmail account. Yes, I
do.
have.
Yeah, yeah,
I do have, Chantel,
yeah,
and
yeah.
I will drop that in the comments section, so you can send any well wishes via that. I haven't got a post box yet, unless
Okay.
I share my personal address. But of course, we have to first think very carefully about that. But I've got a mail, an email. So we can always exchange details like those if anybody wanted to send a Christmas card or anything really that is gonna bring those great Christmas fabulous moments. I would really appreciate, and so is Catherine, Catherine White, my dear friend here. She's got an email, haven't you, Catherine? So
Yeah, it's the same as the name of the channel and Gmail. A couple of people I encouraged you to reach out because I wanted to send a complimentary gift for Christmas. I'm going to start getting them made, so I appreciate it. And I keep all of that. I will not be using those details for anything other than the purpose of sending you a Christmas gift. So, but yeah, Francis is very respectful. I think, it's really, we do need to be mindful that
yeah.
you never know who's listening, do you?
No, you don't. Yeah. So,
Mm.
but I've put my personal email there. So if someone wants to reach out to request for a personal address or something, they can always catch me via that email, francispage62 at yahoo.com. I try to keep it at Yahoo because with that really it's the traditional email we used to have, and we couldn't go wrong with those.
Mm.
It's free as well for now. So, but yes, if anybody wants to reach out in a personal message, that is the email address I use. And Catherine, if you don't mind sharing yours on the screen, I think our friends will love it.
I'm
So,
I'm I'm actually not able to. I'm not able to reply to any comments. I have to, and
okay,
I
they
haven't
will have,
worked it out yet, but it's a
yes.
Royal Iota or a Roy Leota at gmail.com. And Chantal, please, I'd really love to send you a Christmas gift. It's just a gift of appreciation. No, totally one way, nothing in response. You've all been
Mm,
wonderful, really
mm,
wonderful. So,
mm.
but yeah, I'm wondering if I should perhaps get a post. But I used to have a post box years ago, but it is good because
Then you
it
can
can,
have some
yeah,
mail. Yeah, I'll
mm,
open one up. It's quite expensive to
yeah,
run a post box. But we have local post boxes here that we can sign up to, and then
okay,
if we have things coming up, we can sort of use those box. I think we have one
mm,
next door here, local shop. A post office
mm,
is running a little box where you can go and sign up to one of those and use them.
mm,
I will probably
mm,
get myself one of those as we go along, because you never know. Our friends out there could have something small they can send across. And we too, as well, I think we need to have a mail sort of book where we can always communicate to our friends here online, send them
Good
well
idea.
wishes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's something I was thinking about the other day, but I've always forgotten to bring this up here so we can debate upon it.
Yes, yes. No, that's a very
Yes.
good idea, Francis. I like that. Building the community.
Yes, yeah. Thank you, Chantel. Thank you really, really so much. As we head towards Christmas season, so I know it's a period for little gifts, little well wishes, messages of thanks. We are all very grateful to have come this far in the year, because as we know, the year is 12 months, but a lot can happen in those 12 months. But we are very lucky that we are here, and this is how we check in with each other through these lives. Then we know everybody's doing well. So, but welcome aboard. So, the thing I want us to talk about today, really, Catherine, is I know this is a Royal News Live edition, the weekend, but I wanted us to look at the future of the British monarchy. How is it looking like? So we have seen King Charles, Queen Camilla, they've stepped out to Australia. You know, we've seen the shape they are in and how they have been welcomed. But we also, back here, we have been following up on Catherine, Princess of Wales, and she overcame cancer recently, sorry, her chemotherapy recently. So she's on the good mend, right mend. Her husband, Prince William, getting strong and stronger by day. That support is there. And then we have Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, and the idea that Harry seems to be wanting to come back, but he's still got one of his legs the other side with his projects still going on. So where are we heading as the royal family? Are we going to see a king who is going to get farmer and farmer with Harry while starting to sort of pass on power very subtly to his, heir to the throne, Prince William? How are things looking like for you, Catherine, as you look at the royal family and how it's standing right now?
Well, uh, that's a good question, actually. One of the things that really sort of caught my attention during the royal tour, and I went to the Opera House Friday night for the images on the sails. I went to the church service, and I was at the Opera House all day on the Tuesday. So I was able to, it's a little bit like doing a poll. You get a sample of the population, and it really was a sample of the population because I I don't know why, but I half expected the crowd to be a lot of old pensioners. It was anything but. Well, there were a lot of retirees, a lot of baby boomers, there were, but never underestimate the younger crowd because they turned up and they had flags around their shoulders. They were waving flags. Crowds of young men or young adolescent teenage men. Oh, it was really amazing. And I spoke to a few of them, and they were so excited about the occasion, but they supported the monarchy. They did. And
Mm.
that's what I just feel the future of the monarchy in Australia is sound. I really do. And the Republican movement in Australia started with Thomas Keneally, and it really caught legs during the referendum in 1999. But it strikes me, because it's so dead now, it strikes me that it was representative of adolescence. They decided they wanted to get rid of the monarchy, they wanted to get rid of patriarchy, they wanted to run away from home, if I can put it in such simple, inelegant terms. But that's what it seemed to me. Now, I really am shocked by the British media. I had a front row seat to watching the British media going a bit berserk over the monarchy in Australia. It's a little bit like the Caribbean tour. They misrepresent it. Now, Lydia Thorpe, oh my gosh, that woman's bonkers. And no doubt,
Mm,
I've no doubt the King and Queen were warned of the possibility of her upstaging something when they were in Canberra because that's her form. But
mm,
this woman was, when she was not elected to Parliament as strictly an Aboriginal representative. She was elected to the federal parliament. You see, a highly respected royal author, royal commentator, called it the state parliament
mm,
yesterday. I wanted to just go down the screen and shake his head. No, it's the federal parliament. It's the
mm.
federal parliament. See, they can't even get basic facts right about
Right.
Australia, right?
Mm,
This girl, this woman, this rogue nut job, she was elected on the Greens ticket. And then she went rogue and she went independent, which I have a problem with. And I know a lot of other voters do when they leave their party and they go rogue and they don't represent anyone. It's like the Sussexes in California. They've got nothing behind them. She's got nothing, and she doesn't even represent Aboriginals. A lot of high profile Aboriginal First Nation leaders came out and lambasted her, and some of them were Republicans, right?
mm,
So,
mm,
but let me point out in Queensland, they've just kicked out a Labor government and the Greens lost their seats. The Greens. And this is the platform. Now, that's state government, but this is the platform on which Lydia Thorpe was elected in the
mm,
federal parliament. This is sending a message to politicians, but particularly on really far left, because they say that the Greens are green on the outside and red on the inside. They're
mm.
communists, right? So I come back to your question because come on, if you're going to discuss these issues about Australia, at least have a grounding and don't just go with this First Nations, Indigenous reparations message, this talking points, which is what they were talking points. And I do not trust even some of my favorite reporters anymore. Russell Meyer came on before the Royal Tour and said, "Oh, Harry and Meghan, the Australian tour broke them. They were broken." No, they weren't, and that actually is still running. And I posted that before the tour, and that people are still commenting on that. It's just going slowly up, up, up.
Mm,
It did not break them. They were annoyed because when they returned to the UK, they thought she was Diana 2.0, and they would have got a pat on the back, as you do. Your employers do pat you on the back. Don't tell me they don't. I don't believe
mm,
it. These people are human beings. The palace, the royal courts, that's another subject. But the point is, I'm just so fed up with turning one household against another. The Royal Sussex team have left. They really are over because Eric Trump, he's basically said, we don't care about them. And I think he's done this for the king so that the king can rest, that they have nowhere to go but home. I think they've
mm,
done what they call a solid.
mm,
It's not my lingo, but I think they've done a solid for the royal family, saying, "Don't worry, we're not going to deport them," because they can't have them back home. They
mm, mm,
cannot. And this is one of the traps when you're just a royalist. You get into this household, that household, and you don't wait things out. The palace is very slow.
mm,
It's
mm,
very slow in its responses. Now, this week, they've come out, the king has iced him out, he's not coming back home. They're finished.
mm,
I'm not suggesting at some point the king won't make a way for Harry, but it'll be like Prince Andrew. It'll just
mm.
be, and look at the problem Andrew is for the royal family. He's still a problem.
A big
And
one, a big one.
yeah,
Because that even when he steps out on the balcony and is seen with them at the front of any royal occasion, you know, people next day are going to be mad. Okay, what was he doing there? Why is he so? The royal family, I think, is trying as much as possible to keep him in the background. And there are sometimes they bring him. So, for example, on occasions like Christmas or Easter, going to church. So those are very, very allowing occasions for, you know, for him to be around, to be part of the family. But occasions like where he has to stand at the balcony with the rest of them, you know, occasions where he has to be center, you know, the royal family has done whatever they can to keep him in the background because of the backlash. Now, if they can do that with Prince Andrew, then
Yeah.
imagine Prince Harry, who has gone 3 times on the rampage against his family than Andrew has, because Andrew obviously is a naughty boy. He did what he did, but he hasn't really got onto projects that are really, really rubbing the royal family in those really, really terrible ways, like, you know, the Sussexes have tended to come across. But in a nutshell, looking at, and I agree very much with what you have said, that if they don't deal with this Harry and Meghan issue correctly, and this young man finds himself back into the royal fold somehow in some capacity, then we are going to have a future of the royal family that is not going to be having support from many people out there. Let's face it.
Of the
The
royal
only
family now.
yeah, the only bright future that the royal family can have is one without Meghan and Harry, basically. That is the proper future we are going to see. And a future that people are going to be very much aligned with is when the royal family, the king, does something to show everyone that, you know, this is how we have handled this man seriously, and this is the sort of punishment we have given him for whatever they have done. Okay, that's when people will continue having that support for the royal family. But if King Charles, the royals, don't do anything and let him come back as he pleases and he continues to do all of these things, people are going to be thinking, well, it's us they are making a fool of, you know. It seems that they are not seeing what this young man is doing. So, really, and that's why people are looking at William, Catherine as the real future, because of how they sometimes, especially Prince William, comes across as the only royal in there who is, on many occasions, trying to put a stop, okay, on his brother for whatever he did. And he saw the response he gave last time. We are not a racist family. And that was very sending of a message to the Sussexes that whatever they said against the royal family was all BS, okay, if we might put it in that sense. So that's where people are saying the future, the real future of the royal family is in Prince William and Catherine, because people have seen those two as the only people at the moment who are showing the whole world that, listen, whatever they are saying against us is not true. This is what we are. And look at how they have been admired. Look at how the popularity of Prince William and Catherine have skyrocketed over the past few years, ever since Harry and Meghan went on those campaigns of theirs. So that is sending a message to, you know, to the royal family that, listen, we are aligning behind William and Catherine because of how they have really handled this Meghan and Harry issue with a firm hand. Okay. so sorry, there are some questions that popped up here and we might have missed those. There's
No,
one
this.
from, was it Elsie or Chantel? I think I've missed that. Uh, uh, she said that, what do we think about Prince Harry's wanting NATO to fund the Invictus Games? I think I've missed that. She wrote it somewhere. Can I find it somewhere? Um, let's see if I can pull that up. Yeah, thank you so much, guys, for these comments. I mean, this is what we want to see. So it's that one there. So Chantel Martin, say, what's everyone's thoughts on Harry asking NATO for money to put towards Invictus? Right or wrong? It's a very, very good question there. Very, very good question. And you know what I think? He shouldn't even have been asking for that money. If this project was going to have many people rally behind it, it shouldn't take Prince Harry to stand up and start making those put money here, put money here. After all, the trust has, has since gone. For, look at what's going on with Archwell Foundation. Okay, so many questions being raised on how they're managing money and, tax returns, and they haven't put this one in time. Later on, now asking for countries to put money in this project, which is now still being seen as a Harry project. Okay, if NATO, I think the best person who would have been better to front this project would have been people who had this initial idea of setting it up. And that's William, that's Catherine, the royal family itself, because this is where we see the roots of this project. But
Yes.
since Harry left, he took this away, and it has become more like his own baby, his own project, you know. But if he's not really sitting well with the family here that had the first idea of this project, and is still doing things against them, how is he going to expect leaders who are very respectful of the British monarchy, the king, the Commonwealth, to rally behind somebody's project who is actually not supporting the activities of the royal family, who is coming across as, right, okay, so we are not part of them now. This is us. We've started this. So I don't really think he will get far with these demands here. And I think if countries and leaders are going to be coming forward with supporting this Invictus Games project, it should be something that should occur naturally. They should, they should come without having people force them or coerce them into, because this isn't politics. This is more of a charitable organization, and everything that goes through NATO is having something to do with politics. Okay, politics. So you can't bring this Prince Harry's charity business into politics. And I think it's very wrong. He shouldn't be doing that. What are your thoughts, Catherine?
Oh, twofold. When he showed up, there was a question over, how recent it was, but it was no surprise because there's a lot of airtime being given to William at the moment with both his Homeward documentary, which this is just such a fantastic project on his part, and Earthshot from Cape Town next week. So there was no surprise. So that out of the way, I was surprised to see him before NATO because NATO is a controversial organisation, thanks to Donald Trump. Because when he was in last time, he said, you're all going to pay your way, otherwise we're kicking you out. So I was surprised. And there are issues over NATO. Ukraine's not a NATO country, yet NATO is, they're not a NATO member, rather. Yet NATO is expected to defend it. So there's a lot of I'm not saying what my ideas are one way or the other. I'm just saying this is the conversation going on around NATO. Now, I just felt for him as a prince of the realm to sit before this organization whose future is really in question, you know, their relevance is really in question. I just felt sitting there with your begging bowl was disgraceful because someone says here the fact that I just got to go back. I read one of them said, "Oh, go back. It's
Was it who
here.
is
It's Giselle." She said the fact that the veterans have to pay their own expenses if they compete in the Invictus Games is scandalous,
mm,
considering there are millions donated to the Games by the host cities.
mm,
And this is correct. Yet
very,
we
very
see
correct.
Meghan with all her expensive jewellery, her Dior bags, her ridiculous shorts marching in front of the veterans. This is so many veterans. I'm not sure. I saw a number the other day, which is quite staggering. So Harry doing this in front of NATO with his begging bowl coming to NATO, and half of them didn't even, I'm sure they had their earpieces in and were listening, but it looked such a yawn fest. And I thought, wow. So now this is what you're reduced to. And you're right. The political implications for Harry doing that in front of NATO are quite broad.
Mm,
For, he had, like, it was really, I just think he miscalculated. I do think it was a huge miscalculation. So that's my final word on it. I just yawned when I saw it, but I thought,
mm,
wow, you know.
mm. Because there haven't been any evidence of what the funding that has been given to this charity organization has done so far, apart from spending a lot of money on their security when they go to attend these events and making it like a fashion show for Meghan Markle to wear the high-end clothing and that stuff when veterans are not, really, really seeing the benefit of it. So if he has done something there, maybe created these rehab centers in different areas, countries, donating money here and there to start these establishments, he would have said, okay. But what we are seeing is them saying we are holding this year's Invictus Games in this city. That's it, really. And we see wounded soldiers riding around, and that's it. But it's Meghan, really, and Harry who get the publicity, who stand in front of, who benefit more from these things. But as you also said, that NATO itself, some of these countries have the power to establish these rehab centers and support their wounded soldiers in those territories because that money is there. The charities in those countries are there. So why would they then have to channel money to Prince Harry's Invictus Games this way when that money can be actually put on ground in these countries where they are? Okay, so I see no point in doing that. But thank you so much for those thoughts. Thank you. We have Donna Black. William was another flop.
Oh,
Donna,
God.
thank you for joining this live stream. And this is the first time I'm seeing Donna on this live.
Thank you for
And
helping the algorithm.
no, yeah. So she says everything Meghan Prince Harry touches turns to gold, and that's the fact. That's why you people want him back in the royal fold. But it won't happen. Well, who has been wanting to come back more than who's been making those phone calls and trying to reach out to friends to try and start the operation, get him back in the royal fold, you know.
Well,
Right.
it was all driven by their PR camp because it started, remember, about a month or so ago, when we saw the headlines, Harry's speaking to his closest friends and he's plotting a return to the UK. And then he was put back in his box when the public said their hair went on fire, and they went, no effing way, you know. Oh, I just thought that was funny, and I'm sorry to the supporter in the comments here, but you know they're obviously a paid troll, but whatever. But
Yeah.
you know, Harry was put back in his box, and he was shocked. There are
Mm,
reports, headlines saying he was shocked at the animosity from the British public. I don't know what he expected. You know,
mm,
he went to Canada and then over to, they then, you know, like frogs on lily pads, then they went to California. And in, you know, on the airplane, he's saying, freedom flight. Oh, far out. How old are you? Are you escaping the Holocaust? What are you escaping? What are you escaping? A pogrom? Like, oh my God, I'd never heard anything so immature in all my life, you know. So, Harry, this all started a while back, about 6 or 8 weeks ago, and it was going. And then we saw some, and it was written in Meghanese, some articles this week, you know, oh, if Harry's going back, you know, I'll have something to say about that. Oh, come on. We don't really care what you think. We really don't. You know, we've got other fish to fry, and you just help us, you know, along with your boost to our algorithm every time you put your head up. We don't care. We really don't. But it's crazy town. It's all entertainment to us. This is
yes.
entertainment. Sorry, Harry. Your persona. You're actually out there with your uncle Andrew. You're out
Yeah.
in the cold, and now Andrew. There's an article that's come out that said the king has cut Andrew's allowance by by £1 million a year or something. You probably have a better clarification on that. This is Harry. This is Harry's lot. Now, when you've got, they must be. I heard someone say the worry of the worry of Donald Trump being re-elected must be sending Harry's therapy bills through the roof. I heard that this morning. It's true, and you
Yeah.
know, to their
Yeah.
credit, they haven't said, "Oh, if he's re-elected, we're leaving," you know, like celebrities do, and then they never leave. You just think,
Mm,
"Oh, we were just throwing a party, thinking, thank God you've gone." They don't leave, but you know, they were slapped down bigly this week with a Trump saying, frankly, my dears, we don't give a damn. We don't.
mm,
And I
mm,
believe that they've done, as that saying, you know, you hear it in the mob, do us a solid, you know, do us a solid. They've
yeah.
done a solid for the king. Because the guy's not well. The family are struggling. Kate is ill. She's still recovering. She's had good news, but she's still on the mend. And
Mm,
they don't want them back. They're trouble.
mm.
And you can't have them close to the royal family. No way,
No,
Jose.
no chance. Now, I was reading an article, Catherine. Now, have we lost signal for Catherine? Are you on?
I can hear you.
Okay, yes, yeah. So I was reading an article. I think you must have read this as well. That Camilla doesn't want Harry anywhere near to King Charles. Okay, and that behind the scenes she's done whatever she can to try and keep that distance from King Charles and Harry, because she thinks Harry allegedly will bring back stress to the king, and the king doesn't need that at this time. So that apparently that gap there between Harry and the king, Camilla has something to do with it. She's really, really firm on those connections getting back. You know, she doesn't want to see that happen. And if that's true, you can't blame her because she is the wife to the king, and she very much knows what the king is going through. She's the one to pick up all the heartache and the pieces that her husband goes through as a result of these pressures that, allegedly Harry and Meghan adding on to the royal family through those projects of theirs. But also let us not forget what Harry spoke about Camilla in his book, in Spare, things that shouldn't have been said and that we shouldn't even have known. And this really, really hurt, allegedly, the king himself, because anybody who speaks ill about Camilla, you're going to be touching in King Charles's eye. Okay, so and we are seeing a Harry who isn't apologizing, who isn't showing any remorse for what he did, and he's just going on as if business is no more. And here he is, wants to get in touch with the king. Those phone calls allegedly that go unanswered. So Camilla, if this article is right, is right on very many levels, and I think we should applaud her for doing an incredible job of keeping this young man away, because apparently she thinks it will be a lot of stress if he is let back in near to his father. Okay, I don't know if you've gone through that article, but I was
I
reading
have.
it
Yeah.
here, and I thought, wow, okay, so we should applaud Camilla for doing that. But it's really interesting that you say, Prince Harry, be there. You from now, of course, you are now in the category with Andrew, and you're right, because when we look at the ratings, isn't it? So we look at the royal family ratings, and when you look at them over the years now, really, Harry and Prince Andrew are not far away in ratings. They are sat there. And I've seen some polls where actually Andrew sits on top of Harry. And this would,
Oh,
yeah. And this is something that was unimaginable back in the days when Harry used to be the darling boy. At some point he was rivaling the Queen in popularity. Okay, but he's fallen from grace to where he is. And why has that happened? Simply because of the projects, okay, they embarked on. People are seeing and looking at these things. People are not stupid. They are seeing how these activities are really, really humiliating the royal family in so many ways, starting from that Spare. Now, the paperback version, which was released the other day, and he would have done the needful and edited that book into the paperback version and just use the paperback as a way of cleaning up everything that is said in Spare. But apparently none of that was done. It was simply a reproduction of Spare. Okay. And that was more like rubbing salt in the wounds. Very, very, very terrible of him to reproduce that paperback version. And more so, he did that in the middle of the King's tour. So again, we are not saying he planned it or but somewhere, somehow, I mean, they would have delayed that to some other day as a sign of respect, you just as we saw what was going on here in the country when the king was out in Australia, in Samoa. There was no business here. Prince William, Catherine, Princess of Wales, all the royals went on the law. There were no engagements. They kept quiet as a symbol of respect to the big man. He's stepped out. He's the king, he's the wife. Business elsewhere has to stop, all eyes, okay, on the king and where he's going. Harry, they decide to release his whatever, the paperback version. Meghan Markle somewhere somehow goes on this short visit somewhere, okay, and then images are flashed out on social media, competing for that stage with his father. And he knows this. He's a former royal. He knows that when the king is out and about, everybody else needs to keep low. He's still the Duke of Sussex. I know that title is neutral now. It's not holding any meaning at all because they are not serving, but they are still the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. So have some respect to still honor the values of the establishment that made you who you are. So these small things here are things that people are looking at, and every day Harry, Meghan lose a point. Every day they lose a point. I'm telling you, they are still coming down. They are. Okay.
I agree. I think free speech
Mhm.
says Trump's not seeing him as a perpetual victim, just invisible. That is just the ultimate. That is the ultimate slapback, ultimate insult. Totally. It's just Trump's just seeing. Well said, free speech, because no, that's the worst thing a celebrity could hear is that they've been made invisible. And I think that what they forget, and their followers, there's someone here in the chat. What you forget is that let's just do a little bit of a thoughts experiment here. So Harry and Meghan are not in the royal family, and they're minor celebrities, and they're just clawing their way up through Hollywood, through the whole pile of dung in Hollywood. Would anyone pay them any mind? Would anyone be listening to these two? They don't. And the only reason anyone has been generous to Harry, and Harry knows this, is because he's the son of a king. He's the son of a king. That's it. No one would be paying them any mind. And the only reason there was any soft landing in the media recently is because people see that there's stuff going on in Harry's life, and they just want to try and help him get a bit of an escape hatch. But it doesn't mean they care about him. They're not
Mm.
doing it for him. They're doing it for his father. They want to stay in favor with your father, Harry. You're not you're not a gold mine. Your father
Mm.
is. You're not
Mm.
somebody. Your title, the Earl of Dumbarton, that's a title that belongs to somewhere in Scotland, I understand. The Duke of Sussex. Piers Morgan would do a better job. He lives in Sussex. So these people that come out and say, oh, the Sussexes, they're marvelous, they're wonderful, get a life. They're nobodies. The only thing that speaks for them are their titles. And until Harry's dying days, it's the only thing he will have going for him. And you said it. Every day they just sink lower and lower. And I can't see a way forward for them now. I can't, because the Trumps sealed it. You're invisible to us. You're nobody. And you know what? If Trump gets re-elected, and looks like he will on Tuesday, that stands now. That's it.
Mm. Mm. Okay, I've lost Catherine's.
Can
Catherine,
you hear me? I
yes, I
still here.
can. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
it was a pregnant pause. I do pause from time to time.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
do
So,
come up for air.
oh, sorry, my dear friends. We had a sugar there, Donna. Um,
Oh my God. Some of the comments, they're just really, it's crazy town.
oh, God. But yes, you're very right. Prince Harry. It's really a shame how things took a turn, and to see what it turned out to be on this occasion. This young man, Harry, really loved. He did love serving.
Yes.
He loved the royal family. He enjoyed his days, patronages. He was the patron of so many regiments, including uh, the Royal Marines. He wore that uniform with pride, and to see that he threw all of that away and went like that, left all these charities and patronages, and just went away with this person he had met within 6 months, is something that is still perturbing everyone. Um, and really, when he comes back to attend these royal functions, and you see him walking alone, cutting a very lonely figure
Mm,
in
mm,
the public and the audience. Last time he walked in uh, Westminster Abbey, was that for the King's coronation. So you could see him walk alone. So you had William, Catherine, all of them are Mr. Mrs. You see all the young royals, the Zaras and Tindos, the Eugenies, they were all walking in pair, and there he was, just
mm.
himself, like
Wow.
somebody who was cast as a spell, walking. And I think he put himself in this situation, and I wondered, is he happy being in a way he is, not being able to turn up as a family unit? A man who is now 40 years, he should be parading on these royal events with the family, his children, as we see the rest of the royals do. But it's very sad to see that he took that path he did, okay? And it's really a big shame, because it's not like his wife, Meghan Markle, was not invited for the king's coronation. She was. Because we don't think the king would have been that really, really, bad to a stage where he says, Harry, come alone and leave that lady back in California. I don't think the royal family would be that bad. So they extended this invitation to both of them. And because she knows where she sits with the British public, she couldn't see herself come back to face that music. So she stays over. And poor man Harry has to come and line the streets on his own, looking very lonely. It's very sad, because what a story that has turned out to be. And now he even has to be given permission to wear that uniform when he's attending some functions here in which his brother William is wearing a uniform. Okay, because remember at the queen's funeral, when they both when all the queen's grandchildren stood by the queen's coffin at Westminster Hall, and so on that occasion they all wore uniforms, but the processes that they had to go through to allow Harry wear that uniform were really, really immense behind the scenes, because he wasn't supposed to wear that uniform. But they let him do, because he would look like a lost sheep
Oh no,
appearing
no.
appearing in a suit when everybody else is wearing a uniform. And it doesn't matter what suit you're going to be wearing, whether it's a Christian Dior and it's these very expensive suits. The fact that you're wearing something different from the rest of the royals, you're always going to look like a lost sheep. Okay, so for him to have been reduced to a point where he even has to be given permission to wear a uniform where he served, he has all his medals, it's very sad, isn't it? But again, it all comes back to the fact that he put himself in this situation he is in. And when we are looking at the future of the royal family, for me, I see a future in which Prince Harry is not going to be very much a part of, because he hasn't done anything much to clean up himself in these very, very important times when his father is still sitting on that throne. And he doesn't seem to realize how much time is running out for him. Every day the clock
Mm,
is ticking like this.
mm.
Time lost can never be recovered. And
I
this is so
know.
important for his sort of relationship with the king. Camilla, his brother Prince William, his sister-in-law Catherine, Princess of Wales. It only gets worse by day if he doesn't sort things out and William gets to sit on that throne, because we know it's going to be a very different story when he's on there. Okay.
Well, the thing is, his father's ill, and people see um, his efforts and endeavors, to raise money for Invictus, whatever he's doing, who knows? Who knows? Who do you represent? You've got nothing behind you on these phony royal tours, and you come back for the Well Child Awards, you go to Africa, and then you go dark, and everyone's going, "Where's Harry? Where's Harry?" No one really cares. Just, people are curious because it's like a car crash. It's not that
Hmm.
people care about you. We're watching we're watching a car crash, and we know that this is going to have your future. If it doesn't pan out to your benefit, it's going to have a huge impact on your family, and you need to really get your act together because you're 40 years of age, for crying out loud. You're not a teenage boy. And I'll say, I didn't think he looked good. When I saw him in front of NATO, I thought, boy, how long did it take for you to clean up? He probably had to drag you out of bed and throw throw you in a cold shower, and his personal staff clean you up, give you hot coffee, and prop you up in front of a meeting in front of NATO. But you look at him, his eyes are dead. There's nothing there. There is nothing there. And then they've got a wedding photo behind him. It's just so. It's also naked in terms of its desperation. The desperate, you can smell the desperation, but Harry his eyes just got no life.
Hmm.
And I just feel for him in some respects, because I've seen this elsewhere where they left it all too late, and now they're still blaming the nasty stepmother who didn't have anything to do with anything.
Hmm.
And Camilla, I want to come back to what you said about Camilla because it's a very important point. She doesn't. One of the biggest problems for cancer patients is they must not have any stress. Stress is one of the contributing factors to the growth of cancer, but it is also an absolute. You cannot have any stress in the patient's life. Everything that creates stress. So if you've got children who are constantly dragging at your emotional energy, and adult children, it's even worse because you're heartbroken. You're thinking, does this person is an adult? Do they not understand what's going on here? And I fear if Harry doesn't get it together, I don't even think he'll have any regret because he's just going to blame the royal family for icing him out. He's going to blame Camilla. I've seen this happen. I've seen it up close. And because he can't face the role he's played in this. And I don't wish him ill. I would love to see him get his act together, but I don't hold a lot of hope
Hmm.
because you said it, every day that clock has ticked down further.
Hmm.
I mean, and Camilla, when she was in Samoa, they had it's so beautiful actually. They had a ceremony where they recrowned her queen. This is Samoa, it's so wonderful. And she's
Yeah.
sitting there and she's been recognized as the woman she is. She is the love of his life, but she's a queen consort and she is the queen. That's it.
Exactly.
And you have to accept it, Harry. You can't. You're spitting into the wind. You really are spitting into the wind with your little efforts, and people
Exactly.
see it for what it is. There's no excuses anymore. You're running out of road.
Exactly. Exactly. If people in Samoa have come to terms with Camilla. They've welcomed her back. You saw how she was crowned, with with that artificial, what was that? The
Beautiful.
crown, they brought it and they put on regalia on Camilla. And so people have come to terms with her. They've moved on. And Camilla has actually worked so hard to clean up her image. I'm gonna tell you this. There is a time when it was just Camilla as the royal who was left stepping out, where everybody else was having something going
Yes.
on. Because we had Princess Anne had fallen off that horse, sadly. Okay, so she was still recovering. And then we had Edward and Sophie. Prince Edward was also having a bit of a health thing, so he went a bit quiet then. And Sophie, of course, was looking after her husband. And then we had Prince William, who stepped back briefly because he had to look after Catherine and the children. And so the king, of course, had been put on a very limited schedule because he was also going through his treatment. So guess who was left there? It was Camilla. And Camilla herself, of course, stepped out while she was supposed to stay back looking after her husband, the king, but she stepped out. She was doing both duties, so she stepped out, and on other days she's looking after her husband, but she was very visible during that time. And I remember she went somewhere in London, and I was somewhere about. And we had all of these demonstrations going on in London. I think it was something to do with the Middle East, Palestine. And so the people were holding banners and all of that. And Camilla was going on an engagement which wasn't far away from that site where we had those demonstrations going on. And bless her, she had to be dashed out of of the engagement because of a security scare outside, because these people had come very close to where she was. And if you saw how they dashed Camilla out, bless her, she came out of the stairs and with an umbrella
Oh,
straight into
it's
the
all
car.
very thrilling.
Exactly at that age of hers, still stepping out.
Mm.
Everybody who has a husband going through a health scare will tell you that, you you feel very beaten as well as a wife. But she went out of her comfort zone during those very difficult moments to step out and still carry the flag of the royal family in those very challenging days. So this woman here, Camilla, has really, really worked so hard to get to where she is. And her respect for the Queen as well. She respected Queen Elizabeth to the toe. And I mean to the toe. The Queen, eventually started adoring that woman for actually, not for anything else, but for actually making King Charles what he is today as well. The support that King Charles has had over the years because of that woman has been immense. Uh, so it is a shame, really, that Prince Harry couldn't come to terms with that, where Prince William did. Okay. And for him to go and publish those very, very, very secretive information things in that book, and everybody is reading this book everywhere of how, they thought this father should never have married Camilla, and she was using the social media and whatever, to, selling stories. And that was really, really terrible of Prince Harry to do that.
Oh, you
You know,
don't do it. It's so
no.
childish.
So when we see Camilla being welcomed in Samoa, in Australia, in the way that they did, it goes to show how people are thinking of Harry as the boy who is always going to be mourning about the past and never letting go. Because people let go already, the
Well,
Queen.
they have. They
Yeah,
have.
yeah.
I heard it. I heard people talking about it. They went to their tour, the Sussex, when they're so disappointed, and they want not, they've moved on. They don't care about them. And when I where I was standing, when they started coming down the Opera House steps, the King and the Queen, Camilla, Camilla. It's like it was almost like Diana again, all over again. Camilla, 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 over here, Camilla.
Yeah,
But, you
exactly.
know, it was adorable, and she responded. She responded. I thought it was lovely, but she did look vulnerable, and I think it's point. I'm glad you bring this up about how she stepped out the way she did, and as a wife, she's worried about her husband,
Mm,
and they have a love story. I think that Catherine and William have a love story, but I think I've never really taken too much of account of it until he was diagnosed. They have a love story, and you see it in they the way they were on tour. Some photos of them looking at each other adoringly. I think they love each other immensely, and Queen Camilla deserves our respect, and but I was surprised. Camilla, 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 come over here, Camilla, and she's with Charles.
mhm.
And I'm thinking, oh, this is what it was like when he was hearing Diana, Diana, over here. So she has really earned her place.
She has indeed. And LC makes a good point here that, even if when the king, I mean, the Queen Elizabeth at the time had restricted Camilla's appearances back in the days, she stayed very loyal. She stayed, working behind the scenes, was very
Yes,
respectful. She never went on this rampage. She's never mourning about things. You see how the king sometimes reacts in public with his pen going mental and he throws it there to give me the pen. And you see how Camilla handles that with grace. There's another video of they were out and about. It was very cold. And so Camilla decides to tell the aides, the assistants, oh, can you get him a cup of tea, please?
oh,
Camilla is a very posh woman. She's very posh, that
oh,
lady.
I
She,
love it.
please, can you
Mm,
get him a cup of tea? And they bring
oh,
a cup of tea for King Charles. And I said, oh, how nice. Because that's what she looks
oh.
after the king.
I'm
And
such a sucker for those sort of
so,
emotional touches
okay.
between couples. It really brings me undone,
So yeah, there is no person in the world that mastered King Charles like Camilla did. Camilla really mastered. When King Charles is in the worst of moods, like roaring, it is that woman Camilla who can calm him down. Okay, there's nobody else. So that's how she has mastered this. So she has that degree of calmness that she brings within him. And we need to give her due respect. Give it
Yeah,
where it deserves. We need to do that. And
I
not
agree.
going away in the books like Harry did and the 77-year-old woman. And he's literally tarnishing her image when this is the time for reconciliation and forgetting all about the past and moving forward. Okay, so it is what it is, whether we like it or not. She is the queen, and Queen Elizabeth rightly said in that speech that, when my son becomes the king, Camilla will become the queen consort. Now, who are we to be here and start mourning about she shouldn't have been queen, they shouldn't have married her, when the queen herself, the person that we adored so much, gave the green light? Hmm?
Yeah, well, Aspie actually makes a point here because this is how I felt, and not because I was all in on Diana. I was a Diana fan, but Aspie says here, uh, I have to admit, at one time, see, she's expressing how I feel too. I did not care for Camilla. I saw her as a villain due to what happened with King Charles and Diana, and Camilla has done her royal duties well. She has grown on me. That's it. That's how I feel
mm,
because you say it so beautifully. She's a 77-year-old woman. She doesn't deserve to be treated trashed and in her stepson's autobiography, she doesn't deserve that. And I love that. I love you brought it up in our last live too, I think. Can you bring him a cup of tea? Oh my gosh,
yeah,
this
yeah. Bring him a
so
cup of
touching.
tea. Yeah.
Yeah. And she's grown on me and I said it the other day in my own live. I said, "Oh, I just like sobbed when I
Yeah.
saw her crying at
Mm,
Samoa
mm, mm.
because it overwhelmed her. I think the emotion of the whole tour. And when it was at the time the king said, if I live long enough, I hope I can return. And she just burst into tears.
Mm,
It was real. And you don't see that. You
mm.
would never see the queen doing that. Um, I just burst into tears for her because my late husband died of cancer. It's a terrible thing you carry when your husband has all of these other dramas around them while they're trying to apply themselves to their own recovery. Oh,
Mm,
she's marvelous.
mm,
What
mm.
a stall. Here's the word. She's a stalwart. She is a complete stalwart. And no wonder he looks to her. No
Yeah,
wonder he looks to her.
exactly. And I think the other thing she really, really mastered King Charles is in a way of giving him the respect, all the respect that he deserves. You never see try to upstage, you never see her try to upstage him in any way, shape, or form. She mastered royal protocol. We talk about royal protocol quite a lot, and I am one
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
people who really enjoys looking at these subtle signs that royals give away on those engagements. And I think the very first post I posted was on TikTok, and I was talking about royal protocol and how the royals from senior to the most to the less most less of the royals behave when they step out. And I've been observing Camilla for a long time. She never puts her foot wrong.
Mm,
She never. And when we look at Catherine's behavior and her protocol, have respect to protocol, for royal protocol, we can also say that she has learnt a lot over the years from Camilla. She has. And of course, we see that Camilla is the queen consort. Now we have Catherine, Princess of Wales, down here, who will be stepping in, and taking up Camilla's position. So Catherine is also learning from Camilla. And Camilla, for a long time, has been a mentor for Catherine in terms of this is how we go about doing this. Because she was there before even Catherine arrived. Okay, so that woman, Camilla, commands a lot of respect for her, but
mm,
also for all these other royals, okay, including how she treats Catherine, okay, and how she has mentored Catherine to come as an accomplished future queen that she's going to be. So her role is very, very important. We don't speak often about her. We tend to
no.
highlight
Mm.
Catherine and Prince William, and King, Princess Anne. But I think today we should really, really give respect to this lady Camilla for her incredible achievement for the royal.
Oh, I'm with you all the way on this. I'm
Mm,
with you all
mm,
the way. I think she she deserves our respect. She deserves to be honored. And, she will go down in history. She will be where it's always our final impact that you remember. Of course, she's got scandal. Someone said something on one of my comments the other day about, oh, what a fornicator adulterer. Just like, I'm just thinking, oh, this person's bringing out their Old Testament, and granted, those things, they're difficult subjects and they go on in every family. But Charles wasn't allowed to marry. He had to marry a virgin, and she had to prove it. I mean, how far has the royal family come along, right? But Camilla, you make a very, very good point about. You see, it says in Titus in the New Testament, older women teach the younger women how to be, you know, examples to their own children, how to live, good lives, whether it's in the home or whether it's in the workforce, but to be women of virtue and demure. And there's a new trend for the demure. There's a new trend for demure going online at the moment. And I love it because to me, it's not these dresses with the slits right up to your privates and then your straps coming all the way down and nearly exposing, whatever, nearly exposing your navel. It's not this that is attractive, it's demure. And one of the things I really saw when, the Queen did shake my hand, guys, she shook my hand. But she's so feminine. She is such a natural beauty, and her femininity and the way she dresses for her figure and these just magnificent hats. I'm a dressmaker. I get all
Oh,
excited about these things. I wish
I
I
tell
could
you
wear
what,
hats like that. I love
Catherine,
hats.
Catherine, Princess of Wales, had to take some lessons from Camilla on
She
how to wear
did.
hat, how to wear
Yeah,
that hat.
she did.
Yeah, and when
Yep.
you see Camilla walking, it's very, when Camilla can wear a hat just literally hanging off her head in high winds, but that hat will never fall off.
I don't know how she does it. I
And
don't
all
know.
the time she's like that, okay? But she,
She's got
but
she's got a
she,
direct line
but
to
she
the heart.
manages through. Yes,
Oh,
and that.
it's remarkable. I tip my hat to her.
Yeah. So, I mean, over the years, we have had a situation where we people have sort of overlooked or underlooked what is the word to say, Camilla. Well, it's more like she didn't exist at all. But in these years that King Charles was crowned the king, Camilla has really, really shone through. I think she has played her part beautifully right from the day she was crowned. I know all of us would have loved to see Princess Diana sat there with all that
Myself included.
with that glory, myself included. Oh, what a wonderful, memorable day that would have been. Okay. And Princess Diana would have been how many years of age? 66?
Yep, yep.
60? How? 60? How old would Princess Diana have been at the crowning? I
She
think
would have been in her
63.
60s. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So she would have been in her prime of beauty, let's say it. Okay. But sadly, it wasn't the case. We had somebody else there. And in reality, I like to believe that when things were not meant to be for somebody, those things were not meant to be. This was planned by somebody above us, above our powers, that crowning will go to somebody else. Okay? And it did. And I know we talked about this the other day, you and me, that we know that Princess Diana maybe could have fought so hard for her position. We think she gave away far less too quick and she allowed things to play the way they did. She should have fought. They're like women fight, women in relationships with their husbands. They have these wars, they are fighting. Women, I'm the one there, I should be there. Whatever you do, I want to go, I will stay. Yeah, I think she would have put up a more stronger fight than she did. But sadly, she allowed for her. She gave away, I think, far too quick, and then we see this
I
kind
agree.
of girl step in. But what can we do now is to just literally let go of the past and just roll on with the times we are in today. we still have William and Catherine coming through the process. Let us just wait and witness that and maybe reminisce on that as Diana and King Charles, you know.
Well, look at Catherine. She was so statuesque at the coronation. Oh my gosh. She
Hmm,
knocked it out of the park. She
hmm,
was
hmm,
just, her stature, the way she presented herself, her poise, and young Charlotte and the Wales just stepped out. Oh my Lord, I just feel they deserve our attention. The King, Camilla, and the Wales. To me, this is it. And as monarchists, we need to pay them due respect. And that doesn't mean they're always going to get things right. I liked what William said to his critics in relation to his homeward project, and he said, "Well, I expected it, but criticism pushes me forward,
hmm,
moves me on. You have to let go of the past. We can't change it. My
hmm.
God, oh, just I'm 70. When I leave this, when I leave my mortal coil, I will not owe this earth any rent. And by that, what I mean is I will have no grudges, no resentments. I'm gone. And I'm already getting ready for that. I'm more afraid of living in the past than I am of death.
Mm, mm.
And that's what Harry doesn't understand. He's
Yeah.
being weighed down by the
Mm,
past. Look to the
mm.
future and, take what today gives you and try and build on that.
And build
But
on that.
I'm not overestimating it. I'm not being dramatic, and I can be very camp. I can be very dramatic, but I am more afraid of living in the past than I am of death. I welcome the future. I welcome it. Our best days are always in front of us. You know, make the most of it. Camilla, respect. Catherine, oh, at the coronation, she just took our breath away, didn't she? Oh,
Oh, she did. She did. She's very respectful of Catherine. And that's why we also see King Charles very, very respectful and loving to Catherine, Princess of Wales, and blowing all over those kisses. So Camilla is letting him be the king, letting him love the people he loves without even standing in there and creating that gap between the king and his sons. And but what she's doing here with Harry, according to that source, she's protecting the king from further stress. So she's
yes.
not letting Harry come in anywhere near to King Charles because she knows how problematic Harry can be and the stress. And the king doesn't need that at this stage he is in with, at his with these health scares that he has. And I think that is really, really great of Camilla to do that. And if this article is right, well done, Camilla, because we want people who are going to be protecting the king from anybody who is going to come and drain those energies away. Thank you so much, Elsie. Thank you so much. Truly, truly appreciate you guys. Catherine, we're having so many reservations here. Thank
Oh, I
you.
agree. I agree, Anthony. Tiaras should have been worn. I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. So we've got free speech, say Dana wasn't actually made of the right stuff. Sorry to say that her facade didn't show that. Okay. So and free speech makes a very good point here because I think at some point because Diana was very beautiful, very adorable, lovely, everything that a woman can have. But I think there are certain times she was seen as somebody who was also going a step too far in doing things that they were doing at the time. Okay. And I think at some point people were looking at it as going against royal protocols and all of that sort of thing. So she had her own behaviors in there that many people couldn't see at the time because of how adorable she was. but also sometimes we don't know what goes on in these households. We tend to look at
Yeah.
one story of one, we just one side, and not actually taking time to reflect on why actually King Charles behaved the way he did, with Diana. So that's why most of the time I tend to think, why things happened the way they did. Let us just appreciate what we have now. Okay, what we have now. Camilla hasn't bothered any of these boys, William and Harry. She arrived, she let them be what they are. She hasn't done anything to them, because you would say, oh, maybe she came in and treated Diana's children badly, but she hasn't done anything like that to them. And look at William, how he really respects her. He stands there on the balcony, sometimes on the side where she is, and you see the relationship they have over time. So I think it is Harry's who is a problem in this sense, uh,
Mm.
dwelling so much in the past, which has led to a lot of negativity brewing within himself. And then to add on to that, this combination of him and Meghan coming in the play, and probably Meghan cheering him up along the way. Yeah, yeah, they don't love you.
Yeah.
Look at how they treat you. Yeah. When we were growing up as young kids, this story I like to use quite a lot. And we had these little misunderstandings between ourselves, and we could stand on one side and tell one person, we try and cheer them on. Yeah, look what they've done to you. How could they do that to you? Come on, do something. Why? Oh, look at you. So we could sort of cheer somebody, and when they get into trouble, then we step away and start sort of laughing. I used to see that sort of behavior when we were growing up. So when I look at Meghan and Harry, I'm looking at a Meghan who is on the side trying to tell Harry, look at how they are treating you. Oh my God. You should do something about it. You should be walking in front, not behind of your brother. You should be doing that and that. Why are they not giving that to you? And the moment you say something like that to somebody who is already troubled in some way, you're just going to give them a lot of power to go against establishments. But a lot of it, and this behavior we are seeing in Spare, the Netflix series, the interviews, speaking, whatever they are, is to do with the negativity which has brewed over time as a result of Harry not accepting that, things happened the way they did. Let us move on. Okay.
Yeah, we've all got a heartbreaking story. Every single one of us has a story of heartbreak. Yeah, we've been hurt by someone close to us. But what are you going to do? William could have gone one of both ways, and Harry went this way, and William went that way. Because when you think about it, and I've given a lot of thought to that incredible um, funeral of Diana,
Mm,
and the circumstances around her death. And I think for about 10 years, her death was on the front page of every paper for 10 years because of the inquiry into her death. But
mm,
that must have been an incredible thing to have to live through for William and uh, his brother, Harry. I can really appreciate, wow, that must have, like, that would have required a lot of strength and a lot of support, internal support from the family. But Harry chose his path. But William must be quite an interesting human being, because Andrew Loney said it on another channel during the week. He was on a chat earlier in the week, And he said, "Oh, you know, all the royals have got something behind them. William's the only one who doesn't. He doesn't have anything of question, anything, no scandal, nothing is there with William, nothing." And we see now he's emerging as this interesting leader.
Yeah.
And you've got the king has got Camilla to his left, and he's got William to his right. And
Mm.
this is where the monarchy. It's the king's not doing this alone. He's got Camilla and he's got William, and he is becoming quite an interesting leader. And he did. He said it. I'm going to put it up as a short later. He said, no, he wasn't even bothered, about his critics. You got these houses, you got this property. Well, some of the land in the Duchy of Cornwall actually has been dedicated to building something for the homeless. Like the guy knows what he's doing. And I'll tell you something, he listens, he takes advice, and he does because he sometimes changes his message. And you
Mm.
think, oh, he's taking advice. So the
Mm.
future's in good hands. God help us if the heir had been Harry and
Oh,
William had been the spare. Oh, it doesn't bear thinking about.
just by thinking about it, my hairs go off my head. So
My
it does.
blood ran cold.
Because, and then William gets the sensible, thoughtful, very caring and adorable wife in Catherine.
Oh,
What more can we ask for? And look at how William has really grown into his role. And
mm,
a lot of that is having to do with the woman behind him. Because this is something we rarely also talk about. William's strength, his energies, his powers, and the way he comes across in public is a mirror of what we see Catherine looks like in public. The little conversations with the children, the little jokes, getting involved. Because William used to be a very shy boy, extremely shy. Okay, but you see how Catherine comes in sometimes in these little competitions they have, like cycling and running and kicking the ball. Some of those acts, William would have been very shy to come forward. But then he gets this woman, Catherine, who likes to have a go at everything. She's very outgoing and she wants to try, do different things. But she does those things in a way that is not going to come across as superseding her husband. Okay. And most of the times when she's going to engage in an activity, we see her having a quick glance at her husband, William. And that is more like saying, right, you know, you know what I mean.
I do, I do. She's so funny.
Sometimes, yes. So it's a way of like, you know what? This is the king's opportunity. You go first, and I come next. They went to visit this, I think it was a ward section in a hospital, and this was like, I think it was a cancer department where they do the screening and the that sort of thing. There is that machine which does the scanning. So they went there on this occasion, William and Catherine, both clad in their white gowns, the future king and queen. They walked in there, and then this opportunity arose for one of them to look through what is that thing called? I think it's microscope. So
Mm.
it's attached to the machine. So the opportunity came for one of them to look in there. Now, Catherine, of course, was standing at an angle where the microscope was right next to her. And this surgeon or doctor or stenographer or radiographer says to Catherine, "Do you mind having a look in there?" And what Catherine does next is what actually made me approve of her as a woman who understood royal protocol and respect for a husband who is going to be a king. she turns to Prince William and said, William, you go first.
I know. It's so gracious.
And I can imagine if it was the other side of the Sussexes, Meghan would have been amongst that microscope like no heavens. You know, okay. So this is what you get with Catherine, Princess of Wales. And then you see William very shyly stood behind, says, no, Catherine, go ahead. Okay. That's when Catherine goes and looks in first. But those little messages that Catherine sends of, you are the future king, I respect you, I'm always going to be very loyal and listening to you. And if we had seen something like that, maybe with Diana, with Charles during those days, I think we would not have any problems at all.
I
Okay.
agree. I think that I really can't stand to witness the way Meghan pushes in front of Harry. It's so um, it's so kindergarten, kids pushing, bullying, elbows out. That's what kindergarten kids do. And I just think she's mentally unwell. I just think she's a psychopath. She's a
Hmm.
narcissistic psychopath and has no self awareness. But when you witness this conduct of pushing, pulling, shoving, I don't know how Harry copes with it. I couldn't stand anyone pulling at me like that, but it's really,
Hmm. Okay. Catherine has been kicked off stage. Let's try and
whoa,
pull
what have
her back.
you kicked me off stage? What is Francis trying to
Let's get you
tell me,
back,
girls?
Catherine.
Was that a Freudian slip, Francis?
Yeah. Yeah. But thank you so much, everybody who's been on this live. I think we may as well call it a day this evening.
Yes,
Before
yes.
systems break, the iPad is starting to tell me 2% battery. And if it goes
Uh-oh.
down, it means shoo, our light
Okay.
goes
Yeah,
off.
yeah.
But
Thanks for
it's,
having me, Francis. I really
always.
love our times together.
Always, always. And we can go on and on and on about these stories. But, we always have to save something for the next days. And looking at the time as well, I appreciate most of our friends here uh, probably gone past their bedtime as well. Like myself, it's gone past midnight, so 20 coming to 20 past. So maybe
It's
we go
20
and
past 11 in Sydney AM.
yes, yes. So it's
Mm.
17 past here in the UK. So we really appreciate that they've stayed on till this late, especially those
Thanks, guys.
here in the UK. Yes, we love you so, so much. Your support is immense. And this Royal News Live episodes would not have been what they are today if we didn't have this wonderful audience of ours
Mm. Thank
and
you.
their incredible thoughts. So, all of you, thank you so much for showing up. And Catherine, again, if you shout out your channel, I know that it is on, let me see.
It's a
Uh,
Royal IOTA, AROYAL, a Royal one word, IOTA, IOTA, or some people say a Roy Leota. So
yes,
it's the
I'm trying.
same thing. Yeah.
Yes, I'm trying to pull it off, but yes, so
Thank you,
it's there, isn't
Giselle.
it? Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks,
So
baby
please.
Jaxa.
Yeah, thank you so much, our dear friends. We love you so, so much.
Yeah.
And Catherine, of course, I would like to also congratulate you upon your 1K subscribers. You're going really, really well, growing strong there. Well done. Thank you
Oh,
so much
thank
for your live stream recently. It was
you.
fantastic. Keep on doing those. And our
It's
dear friend,
more of a rant.
Our dear friends, check and see if you're still subscribed because YouTube has a way of unsubscribing out,
Thanks,
people
Stedman.
for some reason. So please check and see if you're still subscribed. We love you so, so much. And I think we will be doing another one soon,
Thanks,
Sunday.
Chantel.
Mm,
Yes,
mm.
I'll be led by you. I'm
Yes,
I'm
yeah.
here, usually in the garden or sewing or something. I'll be just.
And I'll put Giselle's message there. Don't forget to press the like button, people. Bye bye. Thank you.
Cheers,
Mwah.
sweetie darling.
Yes, it
Mwah.
is. We catch up again very, very soon, won't we, Catherine?
We will. Can't wait.
Indeed.
Bye, gang.